Today what I want to talk about with you is upper and middle back pain. So we've done a lot of videos on low back pain, what I think is a very commonly talked about issue. What is not very commonly talked about, however, are the middle and upper back, where a lot of people actually do experience issues, particularly those of you who are sitting at desks all day. If you're watching this right now on your phone, are you crouched like this? If you are, that would be a prime potential cause of upper and middle back pain. I think the more and more we get onto mobile devices, really hunched over for long periods of time, these middle and upper back issues are going to become more and more prevalent. We're certainly seeing it with some of our professionals. The more and more they have to travel with this wraparound schedule, not getting as much time off. Certainly see it in our juniors. They're on their phones all the time, sitting at school, and additionally traveling, sometimes as much as the professionals. We are starting to see more of these middle and upper back issues, whether it be from strictly thoracic spine movement issues or actual muscular problems as well. So what we're going to do today is basically we'll start here. We'll talk about from a diagram standpoint where the pain is, types of causes. We'll go over, talk about some swing faults and some things in the swing that can add stress into these areas. And then we'll obviously go through some fixes in terms of how to address these areas. So starting with our diagram here, I've drawn a spine going up and down. Obviously the spine starts at the base of the head, comes down into your pelvis. This by no means is drawn to scale. I don't even know how many levels I put in. But you're going to have, let's call this your 5 lumbar vertebrae. Then you're going to have 12 thoracic vertebrae. And then you have your 7 cervical vertebrae on top of that. When we're talking today about middle and upper back pain, we're basically going to talk about kind of the top of the lumbar region up through the base of the neck. So kind of if we kind of segment that off below the neck, but above where you would typically experience kind of that low achy back pain. We're starting up at what's called more of the it's called the TL junction, or the thoracic lumbar junction. That is often a very common place where we will see back pain. Sometimes we'll see it radiate down, but sometimes we will see it radiate up as well, up towards the shoulder blades. When we're talking about middle and upper back pain, usually it's kind of right along the sides of the back. So kind of, this is my spine here, it's going to kind of be in these big erector muscles. Particularly on a right-handed golfer, the right erectors will tend to be a little bit more pronounced. On a left-handed golfer, the left side would be a little bit more pronounced. The more imbalanced a golfer is with those muscles, the more likely that they're going to experience these sorts of issues. Now, why being on a phone or on a computer is going to be problematic, particularly for these issues, is because it promotes a lot of thoracic flexion. And if we're always in flexion and we lose the ability to extend backwards, then we're also going to start to lose the ability to rotate. Because of the way that the spine and the vertebrae are made, in the way that they sit on top of each other, in order to rotate, there has to be an element of extension that's there. So I'm going to try to draw it. Bear with me. My artistic skills are not awesome. So if we have kind of a vertebrae, we have 2 vertebrae here. They're going to have, if we call this kind of the spinous process, and they're going to have another facet here and here. So this is where I said I'm not a good artist. So we got the facets here and here. So what I've done is basically kind of pulled it off of each other. So if these were sitting on top of each other, you'd have this facet actually overlays this one kind of like that. So in order for us to extend, both facets of the top spine need to glide down on top of the bottom one. Okay? So if I'm going to extend backwards, both my facets on either side here need to extend backwards on top of the facets on the either side. So if you feel your back, you'll feel kind of the spinous process, that little bony spot. That's what these guys are. Let me draw that dark enough. That's what those are. And then to either side of those, you'll have your facets. Now, if I'm gonna, so if you're looking at my back and I rotate to my right towards the camera, What's going to happen now is my right facets are still going to need to rotate down, but my left facets now need to rotate up. So while I'm rotating, there's still that element of necessary extension, quote unquote, in terms of that facet needing to glide down. So if we're stuck like this all day and we lose the ability to extend, inherently we're also going to lose to a degree the ability to rotate. And we all know that rotation is king when it comes to the golf swing. If you can't rotate, you're in a lot of trouble. So if you're sitting like this all day, you can't extend, you're also going to have issues rotating back and forth. So when that's going on in the thoracic spine in particular, where we're supposed to get a lot of our rotation from, if we look at all of our rotation that we can get, we're only really supposed to get 13 degrees from our lumbar spine. So that means the thoracic and the cervical spine are really responsible for a lot of our other upper body shoulder turn, quote unquote, as we call it in golf. And if we're lacking the ability to extend, that means we're going to lack the ability for this facet to glide down on top of the one below it, and we'll see a restriction in your ability to rotate. So let's head over we're going to show you some things in the swing where this will become problematic, and then we'll go through some simple fixes of ways to make sure that issues in that middle back, getting stuck in a hunchback position, that those are not issues that you face as you get older and as you play more golf. So let's say that your facets are not moving the way that they should, you don't extend well backwards, so the test that we generally will use with this will be kind of arms up, and as we lean back, trying to push our hips forward out over our toes. I'm not sure how far back I got. I feel a little stiff in my back right now as I'm doing that. But we want to see our shoulder blades get back behind our heels and our hips get out in front of our toes. And we'd like to see a nice curve in the back as we do that. If you don't have good extension, and therefore you probably don't have great rotation, so if you've taken the home assessment, sitting in the chair, arms crossed, rotating around, you should be able to get about 60 degrees. Then what's going to happen as you're taking the golf club back, you're going to have limited ability to turn through here. You're probably going to stand up out of posture. You may sway back way too far on your trail side, or you just may stop altogether and use your arms to get back up, club coming back here, John Daly style. There's a couple of different ways you can really compensate. Everybody has their own unique way based on body type and just things that they've developed. But that is going to wreak havoc in terms of how well you can turn. It's going to decrease your efficiency and really impact negatively your ability to drive power from the ground, sequence through, and rotate through as you finish. Just as there's going to be problems through your takeaway, if you're limited rotating through, you're probably going to see a acceleration and deceleration issues in terms of how smoothly you're doing it and the sequence as you come through. If you can't rotate fully here, you're going to start to rotate your hips. You may stop as you go through, which you may not see on video, but if we put you on 3D, I see this every day, you're going to see this stop-go motion where you accelerate, you slow down, you accelerate, you slow down, just trying to work out the timing, and every swing is totally different. So that's going to lead to, as you come back, you may hit it fat behind, you come through, you kind of thin it coming through that way. So your quality of contact is going to be all over the place just because your body is trying to figure out every single time how it's going to compensate. So what I want to do now is we're going to go through some simple fixes to really address this upper and middle back pain, as well as if maybe you don't have back pain at this point, but you're a prime candidate because you're like this all day and you failed the rotation test, then you definitely need to pay attention and implement these couple simple exercises ASAP. All right, so I'm here with Megan today. She's going to be our demo golfer. She's got some middle back pain going on. So we're going to take you through 4 simple exercises that you can do on your own at home. You don't really need much equipment. All you'll need for the first one will be 2 lacrosse balls. So we went ahead and got fancy and bought these 2 lacrosse balls kind of put together. You can buy them online, or you can just get 2 simple lacrosse balls and just kind of put them together on either side of your spine. So Megan, have you turn around just so you can see your back to the camera here. So if we see her spine, let's keep coming a little bit more. So if we see her spine here, we're going to take the balls on either side of that spine, and we're going to start just below her rib cage, and then we're going to have her work it up through her shoulder blades. So let's have you get on the ground, and we'll start with it there, and then we'll work it up. All right, so she's going to start with it just below her rib cage. She's going to cross her arms to kind of open up that thoracic spine, and then she's just going to kind of start to roll down towards her feet until she feels a spot that's uncomfortable. And then once she finds a spot, she's going to try to relax her shoulders and head back, crunch up a little bit, and then going back down. And then let's say that may open up, then she's going to keep going, her body going that way, so the ball's rolling up until she gets all the way up around her shoulder blades there. Good. And from there, let's say she has another sore spot or a spot that's really tight, she'll kind of curl up a little and then going on back. And she may work that area a little bit if that was really tight. So you can go all the way up to the base of your neck. So you kind of come up in through here. And you may feel some cracks, pops, so that's fine. You're kind of self-adjusting your spine. None of it should really, none of the pops should hurt. Those actually usually should feel good. You may have some sore spots in there that are really uncomfortable though. So this would be the first thing that we would do to try to mobilize the spine to really get those facets moving on each other. After you've done that, then what we're going to have her do is let's have you lay on your right side. And we're going to take the foam roll, have your right knee up there. Get that down, this left knee up there. There you go. She's going to have arm out over the head, and then she's going to take her left arm and she's going to try to sweep it around the ground, keeping her hand on the ground as much as she can, working all the way back. A lot of you in the video will probably be jealous of her mobility there. Go ahead again. So as she comes around, so if you guys can see here, so her hand's touching the ground, but her shoulder actually isn't all the way back. So she's masking some thoracic tightness with excessive shoulder mobility. So go ahead, let's try about 3 more reps. So particularly the juniors out there, particularly the girls, but anybody who's really hypermobile, particularly in the shoulders, you do want to be careful with this. Like her thoracic spine didn't move from here, that was all shoulder. So really be conscious, you're trying to get that back as close to the ground as you can as you come around. So let's say after she did 10 that way, then she'll go back the other way. Good, and still really trying to work that shoulder back to the ground as much as she can. All right, so that's going to be after she's rolled out the thoracic spine. Now we've gone and tried to mobilize kind of through full range of motion up through the shoulder. And the next exercise we're going to do is going to be getting up onto all fours. We'll have you facing the camera kind of in this position here. She's going to put her right hand back behind her head or neck, and she's going to take this elbow down to her other elbow. Really trying to rotate through that thoracic spine. Then she's going to try to open up to the ceiling as best she can. Good, and then back down. Trying to keep as much weight as she can through her hips to try to minimize any motion coming from lumbar spine. She can even sit back a little bit if she wants. And then just go ahead, just kind of rotating up and down, trying to drive as much motion as she can from that thoracic spine. Good, so you would do probably 10 to 15 of these on either side there. So now we've used the balls to mobilize the spine. We've gone through and used the foam roll and really tried to access all of our end ranges. Now she's really getting a little bit more focused in terms of really addressing that thoracic mobility. So in the final exercise to really try to push the limits, it would be if she went back into that all fours position. If you had a band, you'd take that in your left hand. And if you could have a banister going up on a stairwell, you could hook this into a door, or if you're at the gym, you can wrap it around like a squat rack or something along those lines. What we're going to do is we're going to tension it outside. We're going to let the band pull her underneath. That's going to her end range of her thoracic mobility. Then she's going to bring it back to kind of pull up her shoulder back to flat. Good. And then she's going to let the band pull her back underneath. Pull, 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 pull. So the band's going to really pull her underneath here. She should feel a big stretch. You feel stretch through there. Good. And keeping her elbow straight, she's just going to use her body to pull up into my hand here. Good. And then let the band go pull her back. Good. So it's really not about trying to get stronger by pulling the band. It's really just bringing it up from this position just to here, then let the band pull you back further. So the further you can have that band pull you, the further you'll get into your thoracic range of motion. And like I said, Megan's a great case here. A lot of shoulder flexibility, particularly on that foam roll exercise. So when she's going around, we want to make sure that the back of your shoulder blade really is getting as close to the ground as we can get it. So hopefully that was helpful. Try these 4 out. I would recommend doing them in that order. If you jumped around, it's not a huge deal, but we generally want to try to mobilize the actual vertebrae first and then start working through our mobility progressions. I hope that being able to see the fixes and how negatively being flexed and not being able to extend through that upper back can affect your golf swing really made a lot of sense, and hopefully the diagram helped to make some sense too in the beginning about how the vertebrae relate and move off of each other, so that you really understand why extending backwards makes sense. In the golf swing, when we think about extending, we think that's bad. We think of standing up out of posture. We think of early extension. But there is an element of extension that is required for us to rotate and stay with a good stable spine that we can really rotate around and create strong, efficient power. So hopefully that all made sense. If you do have any other questions, as always, feel free to email us at the email address below me, info@parforsuccess.com. We'd be happy to help you out. If you have not taken the home assessment yet, please do so. You can head over to our resources page, download that for free to check out your neck, your thoracic spine, your shoulders, and your hips, see how you stack up. And as always, please remember, have fun when you're playing, and always swing faster, play better, and hurt less.